You know what you want to say, but the moment you speak, everything gets messy. You know what you want to say. You can feel the idea clearly in your mind. You can explain it to yourself when you are alone. You can imagine the conversation going well. You can hear the perfect version of your words before the moment arrives. But then people look at you. Your mind starts moving too fast. Your chest tightens. Your voice becomes smaller. You begin searching for the right words, but the harder you search, the further they seem to move away. You say one sentence, then another, but the message that comes out does not feel as strong as the thought inside you. And later, when the conversation is over, the perfect sentence finally appears. That is one of the most frustrating feelings in communication. Not because you have nothing to say, but because what you said did not represent what you truly meant. Welcome to Inner Power Audio. If this is your first time here, this channel is built for people who want to master their mind, strengthen their discipline, develop calm confidence, and build the kind of inner power that changes how they move through life. If this audiobook gives you value, subscribe to Inner Power Audio, like this video, and share it with someone who wants to speak with more clarity and confidence. And stay with me until the end, because the final chapters will show you how to keep your voice steady even when pressure rises. Today, we are going to break one of the biggest myths about communication. The myth is this: some people are just born articulate. They are not. Some people were given better models early in life. Some practiced without realizing it. Some learned how to manage pressure. Some trained their voice, their body, their listening, and their thinking. But clear communication is not magic. It is not a gift reserved for extroverts, executives, public speakers, or people who never feel nervous. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. You do not need to become louder. You do not need to become fake. You do not need to become someone with a completely different personality. You need to remove the barriers that hide your real voice. Because the problem is not always your vocabulary. Sometimes it is stress. Sometimes it is your inner voice. Sometimes it is your body language. Sometimes it is your breathing. Sometimes it is the fear of being judged. Sometimes it is the habit of thinking about yourself instead of the value you are trying to give. In this audiobook, we will build communication from the inside out. First, you will understand what happens in your brain when your mind goes blank. Then you will learn how to rewrite the voice inside your head. You will learn how your body speaks before your words do. You will learn how to choose cleaner words, use your voice with more weight, listen more deeply, navigate difficult conversations, create natural charisma, influence ethically, and speak under pressure without freezing. This is not about sounding perfect. It is about becoming clear, because when you are clear, people relax. When you are clear, people trust you faster. When you are clear, your ideas travel further. And when you are clear, you do not need to force attention. Your words begin to carry weight. So take a breath. Let this be the moment you stop seeing communication as a personality trait and start seeing it as a discipline. You do not need to speak more. You need to speak clearer. And when you speak clearer, people begin to listen differently. Chapter 1. Why your mind goes blank the moment you speak. Your mind does not go blank because you are unintelligent. It goes blank because your brain is overloaded. That difference matters. Many people secretly believe that if they freeze during a conversation, it means they are not smart enough, not confident enough, or not naturally good with words. They think articulate people simply have faster brains. They think confident speakers never lose their train of thought. They think clear communication is proof of superior intelligence. But that is not the full truth. You can be intelligent and still lose your words. You can understand a topic deeply and still struggle to explain it when all eyes are on you. You can have a strong idea and still sound unclear if your nervous system decides that speaking is a threat. Imagine you are in a meeting. Someone asks for your opinion. You know the answer. You were thinking about it 5 minutes ago. But suddenly the room feels different. People turn toward you. Your heart rate rises. Your breathing becomes shallow. You start monitoring your own voice while trying to organize your thoughts, read the faces in the room, avoid sounding foolish, and predict what people will think. Now your brain is not doing one job, it is doing 5. That is where communication breaks down. When stress rises, the body releases chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals are useful when you need to run, fight, react, or survive. But when you are trying to speak clearly, they can narrow your attention. They can make your mind focus on danger instead of meaning. They can reduce access to working memory, which is the mental space you use to hold ideas, organize words, and choose what comes next. This is why you can explain something clearly in the shower, in your car, or alone in your room, but struggle in a meeting, interview, presentation, or group conversation. The idea did not disappear. Your access to it changed. Clear communication depends on managing that access. There are 3 levels of communication. The first is reactive communication. This is when you speak automatically. You rush, you defend, you fill silence, you answer before you understand. You say the first thing that reduces discomfort. Reactive communication is fast, but it is rarely clear. The second level is intentional communication. This is when you slow down enough to choose. You pause before you answer. You find the main idea. You speak one point at a time. You do not let pressure drag your words out of your mouth before your mind has organized them. Intentional communication is where confidence begins. The third level is strategic communication. This is the level of mastery. Here you understand your message, the listener's state, and the direction of the conversation. You are not only asking, "What do I want to say?" You are also asking, "What do they need to understand? What are they reacting to? Where does this conversation need to go?" This is not manipulation, it is awareness. The strongest communicators are not just speaking, they are reading the moment. Another part of this is attention. Your brain has a filtering system that helps decide what information matters. If you believe people are judging you, your mind will search for signs of judgment. A neutral face becomes disapproval. A quiet room becomes rejection. A pause becomes proof that you failed. But if you believe you are there to bring value, your attention changes. You stop hunting for rejection and start looking for clarity. You ask, "What is the main point? What does this person need? What would make this easier to understand?" That shift matters. Your emotional state also spreads. If you speak with rushed, nervous energy, people often feel that tension. They may not know why, but something in the room tightens. If you speak with calm, grounded energy, people relax. Again, they may not know why, but they feel more willing to listen. This is why your state is part of your message. It is not enough to choose better words. You must lower the mental load behind those words. One of the easiest ways to do this is to prepare transition phrases. These are simple sentences your brain can use when pressure rises. They give your mind a bridge so it does not have to build one from nothing. Use phrases like, "Here is the main point. Let me say that more clearly. The reason this matters is, a better way to explain it is, let me pause and come back to the core idea." These phrases are not fancy. That is the point. Under pressure, your brain does not need complexity. It needs structure. The next time your mind goes blank, do not panic. Do not label yourself as bad at speaking. Do not rush to fill the silence with weak words. Pause, breathe. Use a bridge. Come back to the main idea. A clear speaker is not someone who feels no pressure. A clear speaker is someone who knows how to keep thinking inside pressure. Chapter 2. The voice in your head decides the voice in your mouth. Before you speak to anyone else, you speak to yourself. That private conversation shapes everything. It changes your breath, it changes your posture, it changes your face, it changes your tone. It changes how much space you allow yourself to take up in the room. If the voice in your head says, I am going to sound stupid. Your body listens. Your shoulders tighten. Your breathing shortens. Your throat closes. Your mind becomes defensive. Now you are not just trying to communicate. You are trying to protect yourself. And protection does not create clarity. Protection creates tension. But if the voice in your head says, "I am here to contribute," your body receives a different instruction. You are not entering the conversation as someone waiting to be judged. You are entering as someone bringing value. That one shift can change the entire quality of your communication. Many people try to fix their speaking only from the outside. They work on vocabulary, body language, tone, and eye contact. All of those matter. But if the inner script stays weak, the outer technique will always feel unstable. You can stand tall and still feel small. You can use strong words and still sound unsure. You can practice eye contact and still communicate fear if your inner voice is attacking you while you speak. The goal is not to pretend you are confident. The goal is to train the mind that creates confidence. Your brain is not fixed. It can build new patterns. This is the power of repetition. If you have spent years telling yourself, "I am bad at speaking," your brain has practiced that pathway. It has become familiar. It feels true because you have repeated it often. But familiar does not mean permanent. You can train a new pathway. One of the most effective ways to do this is mental rehearsal. Before an important conversation, do not only imagine the worst possible outcome. That is what many people do. They rehearse embarrassment. They rehearse rejection. They rehearse forgetting their words. They rehearse being judged. Then they wonder why their body feels threatened before anything has happened. Instead, rehearse clarity. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself entering the conversation slowly. See yourself standing or sitting with grounded posture. Imagine taking one calm breath before your first sentence. Imagine saying the main point clearly. Imagine pausing instead of rushing. Imagine making a mistake and recovering without panic. This matters because the brain does not only learn from real experience, it also learns from repeated mental patterns. You are teaching your nervous system what to expect. But the deepest shift is this: move from self-protection to contribution. Most nervous speaking is self-focused. How do I look? Do I sound smart? Are they judging me? What if I mess up? What if they disagree? These questions turn the conversation into a performance. And once you see communication as performance, every listener becomes a judge. A contribution mindset changes the question. Instead of asking, "How do I look?" ask, "How can I help them understand?" Instead of asking, "Will they approve of me?" ask, "What value can I bring to this moment?" Instead of asking, "What if I make a mistake?" ask, "How quickly can I return to the point?" This does not mean you stop caring about quality. It means you stop making your ego the center of the room. Clear communication is not about proving yourself. It is about serving the message, and serving the message gives you strength. You do not need to sound flawless. You need to sound present. You do not need every sentence to be perfect. You need the listener to understand what matters. You do not need to remove all nervousness. You need to stop letting nervousness lead. Use this practice before your next important conversation. Take the weak inner script and replace it with a stronger one. Old script: what if I mess up? New script: I do not need to be perfect. I need to be clear, useful, and present. Old script: they are judging me. New script: they are listening for value. My job's to make the value clear. Old script: I am not good at this. New script: I am training this skill one conversation at a time. Say it slowly. Say it until your body starts to believe it, because the voice in your head becomes the tone in your mouth. Train that voice. Make it clear. Make it steady. Make it strong enough to support the words you are about to speak. Chapter 3. Your body speaks before your mouth does. Before people believe your words, they read your body. They read your posture. They read your breath. They read your eyes. They read your hands. They read your stillness, your tension, your movement, and your ability to remain grounded in the room. This happens quickly. Long before someone analyzes your sentence, they feel your state. If your words say, "I am confident," but your body says, "I want to disappear," people feel the conflict. They may not consciously think, "This person's posture does not match the message," but they sense something is off. And when words and body language disagree, the body usually wins. This does not mean you need to perform confidence. It does not mean you need to force fake gestures or act like someone on a stage. In fact, overacting can make you seem less trustworthy. The goal is not theatrical body language. The goal is alignment. Your body should support the message, not fight against it. Start with posture. When your posture collapses, your breath loses space. Your chest compresses, your voice becomes thinner. Your head may tilt down. Your shoulders may round forward. Even if you have a strong idea, the body begins to signal hesitation. A small body often creates a small voice. Now open the posture. Feet grounded, shoulders relaxed. Chest open, chin level, not stiff, not exaggerated, just available. Suddenly the breath has more room, the voice has more support. The mind receives a signal, "I am not running, I am staying here." That signal matters. Your body does not only communicate to other people, it communicates to your own brain. Stillness is another powerful element. Many people leak nervous energy through unnecessary movement. They tap the table, shift their feet, touch their face, play with a pen, look away too often. Move their hands without purpose. These movements are not evil, everyone has them. But when they happen constantly, they make the listener feel your internal noise. Stillness does not mean freezing, it means your movement has intention. If your hands move, they support meaning. If your eyes move, they follow thought. If you pause, you do not collapse into embarrassment, you stay present. Eye contact also matters, but not in the way many people think. Eye contact is not a staring contest, it is connection. When listening, give more eye contact. It tells the other person, "I am here, I am receiving you." When speaking, use enough eye contact to connect, then allow natural breaks when you think. Looking away briefly while forming a thought is normal. Looking everywhere because you are escaping, the moment sends a different message. The key is calm attention. Facial expression is another part of clarity. Your face is emotional punctuation. If you speak about something meaningful with a completely flat face, the message may feel cold. If your face exaggerates every emotion, the message may feel unstable. Let the expression match the truth of the sentence. Warmth when there is warmth. Seriousness when there is seriousness. Calm when the room is tense. This is how the body becomes part of the message. Now use the grounded body reset before you speak. Place both feet flat. Relax your shoulders. Open your chest. Keep your chin level. Let your hands become still. Take one slow breath before the first sentence. Then say the first sentence slightly slower than usual. That final step is important. The first sentence sets the nervous system. If you rush the first sentence, the second sentence often rushes too. If you begin with steadiness, your body learns that the moment is safe enough to handle. Try this in ordinary situations. Before answering in a meeting, before introducing yourself, before making a phone call, before giving feedback, before saying something difficult. Your body does not need to dominate the room. It needs to stop abandoning you. When your body is grounded, your words have a place to stand. And if your body looks like it wants to escape the room, your words will struggle to lead. So before you control the conversation, control the signal your body is sending. Stand present, breathe lower, move less. Look with calm attention. Let your body say, "I am here." Then your words can follow. Chapter 4. Clear words create clear thinking. Words are not decoration. Words are thinking made visible. When your words are vague, your message becomes vague. When your words are precise, people trust you faster because they know what you mean. Many people try to sound articulate by using more complex words. They think bigger vocabulary automatically means stronger communication. But complexity is not the same as clarity. Sometimes complex language hides weak thinking. A strong speaker does not use difficult words to create distance. A strong speaker uses accurate words to create understanding. There is a difference. If you say, "This is kind of a difficult situation," the listener receives uncertainty. But if you say, "This is a challenge we need to solve," the message becomes cleaner. If you say, "I guess we might have a problem," the listener hears hesitation. But if you say, "Here is the issue," the mind has a place to focus. The words you choose shape the emotional frame. Problem feels different from challenge. Failure feels different from feedback. Conflict feels different from conversation. Criticism feels different from information. This does not mean you should soften reality until it becomes meaningless. Clear communication is not pretending everything is positive. It is choosing words that reveal the truth without adding unnecessary confusion or fear. A precise word gives the mind direction. A weak word spreads fog. One of the fastest ways to sound clearer is to remove filler words and weak phrases. Words like kind of, sort of, just, maybe, I guess, hopefully, and can become habits. Used occasionally, they are human. Used constantly, they reduce the weight of your message. Listen to the difference. "I just wanted to say that maybe we should kind of look at this differently." Now listen again. "I recommend we look at this differently." The second sentence is not rude, it is clear. Many people hide behind softening words because they fear sounding too direct. But direct does not mean aggressive. Direct means the listener does not have to dig through fog to find your point. Clear words are respectful. They save time. They reduce misunderstanding. They make people feel safe because they know where you stand. Another tool is metaphor. Metaphors help people feel an idea. They turn abstract meaning into something the listener can see. For example, you could say, "Our communication process is inefficient." That may be true. But you could also say, "Right now, our communication is like 5 people trying to drive one car with 5 steering wheels." Suddenly, the listener sees the problem. A good metaphor is not decoration. It is a bridge. Use it when the idea is complex, emotional, or easy to ignore. Sentence rhythm also matters. Short sentences create impact. Longer sentences create depth. If every sentence is long, the listener gets tired. If every sentence is short, the message can feel robotic. Strong communication uses both. A short sentence can land like a hammer. This matters. A longer sentence can explain why it matters, how it affects people, and what should happen next. Then another short sentence brings the mind back. That is rhythm. You do not need to speak like a poet. You need to speak with structure. Here is a simple practice. Take a weak sentence and rebuild it. Weak. I kind of think this might be a problem. Strong. This is the challenge we need to solve. Weak. I just wanted to say something quickly. Strong. Here is the point. Weak. Maybe we should try another direction. Strong. I recommend we try another direction. Weak. I am not sure if this makes sense, but strong. Let me explain the idea clearly. Do this enough and something interesting happens. You do not only sound clearer, you start thinking clearer, because your words train your mind. If you constantly speak in vague language, your mind learns to tolerate vague thinking. If you practice clean language, your mind begins organizing itself more cleanly before you speak. This is why articulate people often sound calm. They are not grabbing random words, they are choosing from a trained structure. Speak one idea at a time. Use the accurate word. Cut the fog. Let the sentence end. Better words do not just change how people hear you. They change how you think. Chapter 5. Make your voice sound calm, clear, and certain your voice is an instrument. Most people use it without tuning it. They speak from tension. They breathe from the chest. They rush through sentences. They end statements as if they are asking for permission. Then they wonder why their message does not feel strong. A confident voice is not necessarily loud. It is grounded, it has breath under it, it has space around it. It knows when to move and when to stop. It does not chase the listener. It gives the listener something stable to follow. Start with breath. Breath is the foundation of voice. If your breath is shallow, your words become unstable. You run out of air at the end of sentences. You speed up without meaning to. Your throat tightens. Your voice may sound thin, strained, or rushed. This is why nervous speaking often sounds high and fast. The body is trying to survive the moment, not lead it. Diaphragmatic breathing changes that. Instead of lifting only the chest, breathe lower. Let the breath expand through the belly and lower ribs. You do not need to exaggerate it. Just give the voice more support. Before speaking, take one slow breath down, not up, down. That small shift can make your first sentence calmer. Now notice the throat. A tense throat squeezes sound. Many people try to force confidence from the throat. They push, they tighten, they try to sound strong, but the sound becomes trapped. A better voice begins with release. Relax the jaw, relax the tongue, let the throat open. Speak as if the sound is supported by breath, not squeezed by effort. Then comes pace. Speaking too fast is one of the clearest signs of untrained pressure. You may think speed makes you sound intelligent. Usually, it makes you sound anxious. A slower pace gives people time to absorb your ideas. It also gives your brain time to choose the next sentence. You do not need to speak dramatically slow. Just slow down enough that your words can land. Try speaking 10% slower. That is often enough. Tone matters too. If your voice stays flat, people drift. If your tone changes too much, people may feel performance instead of presence. The goal is natural variation. Let important words carry more weight. Let explanations move. Let conclusions settle. Pay attention to how you end sentences. Many people end statements with rising intonation. Their voice goes up at the end, as if every sentence is a question. This can make certainty sound like doubt. For example, I think this is the right direction. Even if the words are confident, the tone asks for approval. Now hear the difference. I think this is the right direction. A downward finish gives the sentence completion. It does not need to be harsh. It needs to be complete. And then there is the pause. The pause is one of the most powerful tools in communication. A pause before an important idea creates anticipation. A pause after an important idea creates absorption. Many people fear silence because they think silence means they are failing. But silence often makes a speaker stronger. It shows that you are not running from the moment. It gives your words room to breathe. Say the point. Pause. Let it land. Do not bury your strongest sentence under 5 weaker ones. Here is your practice. Choose one paragraph. Read it out loud 3 times. The first time, read normally. The second time, read 10% slower. The third time, add 3 intentional pauses. 1 pause before the most important sentence. 1 pause after the most important sentence. 1 pause before the final sentence. Then listen back. Ask yourself, did I sound rushed? Did my voice drop at the end of statements? Did my pauses add weight? Did I breathe low or high? Did my voice sound supported or squeezed? Do not judge yourself harshly. Train yourself specifically. The voice improves through awareness. You do not need a perfect voice. You need a reliable one. A voice that does not disappear when attention rises. A voice that stays connected to breath. A voice that gives your words a steady place to stand. Your voice leads when your breath is steady. So breathe lower, speak slower, end clean, use silence. Let your voice become something people can follow. Chapter 6. If you want sharper words, listen more deeply. Most people do not listen, they wait. They wait for their turn. They wait for a pause. They wait for the moment they can insert their opinion, defend themselves, tell a similar story, or prove they already understand. But waiting is not listening. Listening is receiving. And the better you receive, the better you respond. This is why many great speakers are also great listeners. They do not speak powerfully because they have memorized impressive phrases. They speak powerfully because they understand what is actually happening in the conversation. They do not respond to the surface. They respond to the meaning underneath. Listening has layers. The first layer is words. What did the person literally say? The second layer is emotion. What feeling is moving beneath the words? The third layer is belief. What does this person believe about the situation? The fourth layer is need. What are they asking for, even if they are not saying it directly? The fifth layer is context. What else is shaping this moment? Most people only hear the first layer. Someone says, "The deadline changed again," and they respond to the deadline. But a deeper listener hears more. Maybe the real issue is not the deadline. Maybe the person feels ignored. Maybe they feel the team is disorganized. Maybe they are afraid of being blamed for something they cannot control. Maybe they need clarity, respect, or reassurance. If you only respond to the words, you may miss the conversation. This is why deep listening makes your own words sharper. You do not need to say more. You need to say the thing that actually matters. A simple tool is mirroring. Mirroring means reflecting back what you heard in a calm, respectful way. So what I am hearing is, it sounds like the main concern is, you are saying that this is not a trick. It is a way of showing the other person that you are not rushing past them. Another tool is clarification. What do you mean by that? Can you say more about that? When you say this feels frustrating, what part is most frustrating? Clarifying questions slow the conversation down. They prevent you from answering a version of the problem that the other person did not mean. Then there are deepening questions. What matters most about this to you? What outcome would feel fair? What would make this easier to move forward? These questions often reveal the real conversation. Silence is also part of listening. Many people panic when silence appears. They rush to fill it. They rescue the moment. They talk because they feel responsible for keeping the conversation alive. But sometimes silence is where truth rises. If you ask a good question, let the silence do its work. Do not interrupt the person's thinking just because your own discomfort is growing. Let them search, let them feel, let them find the honest answer. This takes discipline. Deep listening is not passive. It is active restraint. It is choosing not to center yourself too quickly. It is choosing not to perform understanding, but to actually understand. In a work meeting, this might mean hearing the concern behind someone's objection. In a relationship, it might mean hearing the hurt behind someone's anger. In a difficult conversation, it might mean hearing the need beneath the demand. In a networking event, it might mean asking one real question instead of trying to sound impressive. When you listen this way, your speech changes. You stop giving generic replies. You stop forcing advice. You stop trying to win every moment. You begin answering with precision. Use these 3 tools in your next conversation. Mirror. So what I am hearing is, clarify what you mean by that. Deepen. What matters most about this to you? Use them slowly. Use them sincerely. Do not turn them into mechanical lines. Let them guide real attention. If you want better words, start with better listening. Because the person who listens deeply does not need to dominate the conversation. They understand it. And understanding gives your words power. Chapter 7. Speak clearly in the conversations everyone wants to avoid. Anyone can sound calm when the conversation is easy. The real test begins when the room gets tense. When someone disagrees, when a manager gives criticism, when a relationship needs honesty, when a deadline slips, when money, respect, boundaries, or trust are involved. When the conversation matters enough to make your body react. That is where communication becomes self-mastery. A difficult conversation is not difficult only because of the topic. It is difficult because of what the topic triggers inside you. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. fear of losing control, fear of saying too much or not enough. So many people avoid these conversations. They delay them. They soften the truth until it becomes unclear, or they explode because they waited too long. Neither avoidance nor attack creates clarity. A strong communicator enters difficult conversations with a different goal: not to win, not to dominate, not to prove the other person wrong. The goal is to create truth and find the next step. Before you begin, ask yourself 3 questions. What result do I actually want? What do I need to understand? What do I need them to understand? These questions protect you from entering the conversation with only emotion. They give the conversation a direction. Next, use descriptive language instead of accusation. Accusation makes people defend. Description helps people see. Compare these 2 statements. You always change things at the last minute. Now this one. I noticed the deadline changed twice this week. The first sentence attacks character. The second names behavior. That difference matters. Try another. You made me feel ignored. Now this. I felt ignored when I did not receive a response after the meeting. The second sentence is clearer because it connects feeling to a specific event. It does not turn the other person into the enemy. It gives both people something to examine. This is not weakness. This is precision. When emotions rise, precision keeps the conversation from becoming a fight. But even with good words, your body may still get hot. Your heart may race. Your jaw may tighten. Your voice may rise. That is the moment to press pause. You do not need to answer every sentence immediately. You can say, I want to respond clearly, so give me a second. Let me pause for a moment. I hear you. I want to think before I answer. These sentences are powerful because they stop reaction from taking over. A pause is not surrender. A pause is leadership over your own nervous system. You also need to listen for the need underneath the demand. Someone may say, you never keep me updated. The surface demand is about updates. The deeper need may be trust. Someone may say, this project is a mess. The surface complaint is about the project. The deeper need may be structure. Someone may say, you do not care. The surface accusation is emotional. The deeper need may be reassurance. Do not match the other person's chaos. If they rush, you slow down. If they accuse, you describe. If they raise their voice, you lower your pace. If they become vague, you return to specifics. This does not mean you become passive. It means you become steady. Use the clear framework. Center yourself. Label the issue. Express the impact. Ask for perspective. Request the next step. For example, I noticed the deadline changed twice this week. I felt concerned because the team is losing clarity. Can you help me understand what shifted? And can we agree on the next step? This sentence does several things. It names the issue. It expresses impact. It does not attack. It invites explanation. It moves toward action. That is clear communication under tension. In your next difficult conversation, do not try to be perfect. Try to be specific. Try to be calm. Try to be honest without being cruel. Try to listen without surrendering your own perspective. Do not enter a difficult conversation to defeat someone. Enter to create truth. Because the person who can speak clearly in discomfort has a power most people never train. Chapter 8. Make people feel seen. Charisma is misunderstood. Many people think charisma means being loud, funny, attractive, energetic, or naturally magnetic. They imagine the person who walks into a room and instantly becomes the center of attention. But real charisma is not about taking all the attention. It is about giving attention so fully that people feel more alive around you. That is rare. We live in a world where most people are half present. They listen while checking their phone. They ask questions while waiting to talk about themselves. They nod while their mind is somewhere else. They look at you, but you can feel they are not fully with you. So when someone gives real presence, it stands out. Presence says, I am here, not partly, not for show here. This kind of attention changes conversations. When you put your phone down, face the person, listen to the whole sentence. And do not rush to turn the conversation back to yourself. People feel respected. They may not say it out loud, but they feel the difference. Presence is not performance. Presence is the discipline of not abandoning the moment. One way to create deeper connection is to ask better questions. Most conversations stay at the surface because the questions stay at the surface. What do you do? How are you? How was your weekend? These questions are not bad, but if the conversation never moves beyond them, nothing memorable happens. Deeper questions invite people to reveal meaning. What has been taking most of your attention lately? What part of your work feels most important to you right now? What are you trying to get better at? What has been challenging but worth it? Questions like these show that you are not just collecting information. You are interested in the person behind the information. Another part of charisma is attunement. Attunement means you can sense the energy of the other person and meet them appropriately without losing yourself. If someone is serious, you do not force fake excitement. If someone is excited, you do not flatten them with coldness. If someone is vulnerable, you do not rush to fix them. You adjust. You meet the moment. You make the other person feel that their emotional state has been noticed. Validation is part of this. Validation does not mean agreement. You can validate someone's feeling without agreeing with their conclusion. You can say, "I can see why that felt frustrating. That makes sense based on what you experienced. I understand why this matters to you." These sentences do not surrender your perspective. They show respect for the other person's reality. And respect opens people. Specific compliments also create connection. Generic praise is easy to ignore. "Good job, you are smart, that was nice." These are fine, but they do not always feel deeply seen. Specific praise lands differently. The way you explained that made the whole idea easier to understand. You ask questions that make people think more clearly. "I noticed how calm you stayed during that conversation." That level of detail tells the person, "I was paying attention." And being noticed is powerful. Using someone's name can also create warmth when it is natural. Do not overuse it. Do not make it sound like a sales technique. But when you say someone's name with real attention, it can bring them into the moment. Charisma is not about tricks. It is about making people feel that for a few minutes they were not invisible. Practice this in your next conversation. Give full attention. Ask one deeper question. Reflect one feeling. Offer one specific compliment. Do not do it to impress. Do it to connect. People may remember your words, but they will remember even more how they felt around you. And if you can make someone feel seen, heard, and respected, your communication becomes more than clear. It becomes memorable. Chapter 9. Influence without manipulating influence is not control. At least, not the kind of influence worth building. Manipulation hides information so someone chooses what benefits you. Ethical persuasion reveals value so someone can choose more clearly. That difference is everything. If your goal is to force agreement, people feel it. They may comply for a moment, but trust decreases. If your goal is to help them see the full picture, trust grows. Even if they do not agree immediately, they feel respected. Strong communication respects freedom. This does not make it weak. It makes it clean. To influence ethically, begin with understanding. Before trying to change someone's mind, understand the mind they already have. What do they care about? What are they afraid of? What are they protecting? What would make this decision feel safe? What do they need to see before they can trust the next step? Many people skip this. They start with arguments. They push benefits. So they explain why they are right. But if you do not understand the other person's world, your message may not reach them. Persuasion begins where the listener is, not where you wish they were. There are several principles that can help, but they must be used honestly. The first is reciprocity. When people receive value, help, fairness, or generosity, they often become more open. But this cannot be fake. Do not give only to create a debt. Give because it builds goodwill and shows that the relationship matters. The second is social proof. People feel safer when they see that others have made a similar choice and benefited from it. This is why examples, case studies, testimonials, and shared experiences can reduce uncertainty. But social proof should be truthful. Do not invent confidence. Show real evidence. The third is consistency. People like to act in ways that match their identity and previous commitments. If someone sees themselves as responsible, thoughtful, ambitious, careful, or fair, your message can connect to that identity. For example, instead of saying, "You need to change this," you might say, "Because you care about doing this well, I think this adjustment protects the standard you already value." That is not pressure, it is alignment. The fourth is scarcity. Scarcity can help people act when something is genuinely limited, but false scarcity is manipulation. If there is no real limit, do not create fake urgency. Ethical influence does not need deception to be strong. One of the most powerful forms of influence is co-creation. People support what they help build. If you want someone to accept an idea, invite them into it. What would make this work better for you? How would you approach this? What would need to change for this to feel realistic? What part of this idea do you think is strongest? When people contribute, the idea becomes partly theirs, and people defend what they helped create. This is why asking can be more powerful than telling. Try replacing forceful language with open language. Instead of saying, "You need to do this," say, "What would make this feel useful for you?" Instead of saying, "This is the best option," say, "Based on what you said matters most, this option seems to fit your goal." Instead of saying, "You are wrong," say, "Can I offer another way to look at it?" These phrases lower resistance because they respect choice. Influence is strongest when the other person does not feel pushed. They feel guided toward clarity. There will be times when you need to be direct. Ethical persuasion is not always soft. Sometimes leadership requires a clear recommendation. But even then, the tone matters. Here is what I recommend. Here is why. Here is what I see. Here is the risk if we do nothing. Here is the next step I believe makes sense. That is clear. That is respectful. That is not manipulation. Do not push people into agreement. Help them see clearly enough to choose. Because the best influence does not leave people feeling trapped. It leaves them feeling more awake. Chapter 10. Speak under pressure. Without freezing pressure is not the enemy. Untrained pressure is the enemy. That distinction can change everything. Many people believe nervousness means they are not ready. They feel their heart beating, their hands warming, their breath changing, and they assume something is wrong. They say, "I am anxious," and the body hears danger. Then the mind tightens even more. But anxiety and excitement can feel similar in the body. The heart speeds up. Energy rises. Attention sharpens. The body prepares. The difference is often the label your brain gives the sensation. Instead of saying, "I am nervous," try saying, "My body is preparing." That does not magically remove all discomfort, but it changes the story. You stop treating your body like an enemy and start treating it like a system getting ready to perform. Pressure becomes fuel when you know how to use it. First, regulate the body. The breath is your fastest doorway into the nervous system. One simple method is the 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Do this gently, do not force it. The long exhale tells the body that it does not need to stay in full alarm. Another tool is grounding. When attention spins into fear, bring it back to the present. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 sounds you can hear, 2 smells you noticed. 1 thing you know is true right now. This pulls the mind out of imagined disaster and back into the room. When the body becomes steadier, words return more easily. Second, stop memorizing every word. Memorization is fragile under pressure. If you forget one sentence, the whole structure can collapse. Flexible mastery is stronger. Understand the idea deeply enough to explain it in different ways. If you can explain your point to a coworker, a friend, a manager, a teenager, and a stranger in an elevator, you understand it. If you can only repeat one memorized paragraph, you are vulnerable. Know your core points, know your examples, know your transitions. Then trust yourself to speak from understanding, not from a script you are terrified to lose. Third, remember that a presentation is not about you. It feels like it is about you because you are the one speaking. But the real purpose is value. The audience is not there to study your insecurity. They are there to receive something useful. So shift the focus. What do they need to understand? What problem can I help them solve? What idea can I make clearer? What should they remember when this is over? This contribution mindset lowers self-consciousness. A strong presentation needs structure. Start with a sharp opening. Do not waste the first minute apologizing, over-explaining, or giving a weak introduction. Give the audience a reason to care. Then focus on 3 to 5 main ideas. Too many points create overload. Clear structure creates trust. Use stories. Data tells. Stories make people feel why the data matters. Use clean transitions. Now that we understand the problem, let us look at the solution. The second point is where most people get stuck. Here is the part that changes the way you think about this. Transitions keep the audience with you. Slides should support the message. They should not become the script. If your slide contains every word you plan to say, you have turned yourself into a narrator for a document. Use slides as anchors, not hiding places. Eye contact also changes under pressure. Do not scan the room like a machine. Connect with one person for a few seconds. Finish a thought. Move to another person. This creates intimacy inside a crowd. You are not speaking to a crowd. You are speaking to one person at a time. Use the STAG. Reset before high-pressure speaking. Set your intention. Take one slow breath. Anchor your feet. Give value first. Engage one person at a time. Pressure does not steal your voice. Lack of training does. So train the pressure. Reframe it. Breathe through it. Ground yourself. Know your message deeply. Serve the audience. Speak one thought at a time. You do not need to wait until fear disappears. You need to become the kind of person who can speak while fear is present. That is mastery. Your voice has weight. Confident communication is not one trick. It is a system. It begins in the brain. You learn that your mind does not go blank because you are broken. It goes blank because it is overloaded. So you give it structure. It is shaped by the inner voice. You learn that the way you speak to yourself becomes the tone you bring into the room. It is carried by the body. You learned that posture, breath, stillness, eye contact, and expression all speak before your words do. It is sharpened by language. You learned that better words do not only change how people hear you, they change how you think. It is strengthened by the voice. You learned that breath, pace, tone, pauses, and endings give your words weight. It is deepened by listening. You learn that if you want sharper responses, you must hear more than the surface. It is tested in difficult conversations. You learn that clarity matters most when emotions rise. It becomes magnetic through presence. You learn that people remember how deeply you made them feel seen. It becomes influential through ethics. You learned that real persuasion does not trap people. It helps them choose more clearly, and it becomes mastery when pressure no longer steals your voice. Now comes the part that matters: action. Knowledge means very little until it changes your next conversation. So here is your 72-hour challenge. Day 1. Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes. Do not judge the recording. Listen for patterns. Find the 3 filler words or weak phrases you use most often. Day 2. Enter one conversation and use one clearer sentence than usual. Do not ramble. Do not apologize for having a point. Say the main idea cleanly. Day 3. In one important conversation, pause for 2 seconds before you answer. Take one breath. Speak your first sentence slightly slower than normal. That is where change begins. not in a fantasy version of you on a perfect stage. In the next small moment, the next meeting, the next phone call, the next interview, the next difficult conversation, the next time someone asks what you think. If this audiobook helped you see communication differently, subscribe to Inner Power Audio for more audiobooks on mindset, discipline, confidence, and self-mastery. Like this video if it gave you value, share it with someone who needs to trust their voice again, and leave a comment with one sentence you want to learn how to say more clearly. Your voice has weight. Use it clearly, use it honestly, use it now.